Linda Cube is a game where it looks normal at first, but looking at handprints on the title and some questionable dialogue foreshadows a lot of what you're getting into. It plays almost like a normal turn-based RPG, but different enough to where you might have to switch up your strategies on certain encounters. I will keep this video spoiler free as possible, but I do recommend playing scenario A and B as blindly as possible. I think a good place to start is the story, since you are given 3 scenarios to choose from. The scenarios start off the same, but the real differences are within the dialogue and how Linda approaches you. I will say though, my favorite part of the game is its dialogue. You have characters that are full of life and even deranged, and NPCs that have very interesting things to say to you at times. But Quan, isn't that like most RPGs though? Well, yes, but there are environments in the game that don't make much sense, and you get to hear characters complain about it. There are some really funny and dumb moments that I think fit the game's overall narrative and tone very well. And I don't think they even interfere with the heavier and more serious parts of the game. As an RPG, it is safe to say that you're mostly in it for the story. And boy, there's a lot. Now let's talk gameplay. The game plan introduced to you in the beginning before every scenario is that you have to capture a certain amount of animals, and each scenario gives you a minimum of how many animals you have to capture before you leave on your funny arc. It's not as easy as it sounds. Whenever you get an animal to reach 0 HP or close to it, the animal does stop resisting, and therefore you capture them. But if you put too much damage in them, they die. And the game will not only tell you that in a weird way, you don't get experience points. It doesn't seem like an issue at first, but when you're trying to capture insects or smaller animals later in the game, it could get pretty cumbersome. Also, when you're overpowered and the enemies get weaker, you start to kill them off as well. However, I think that's the point. You can't always throw a big sword at a smaller enemy in order to accomplish your goal, which allows you to think outside the box a little more, and allows you to use weaker weapons and play with other items in the game. Much like other RPGs, it shows how much progress and power you've gotten throughout the game, where you can kill those same enemies that tried to kill you earlier. Speaking of being careful, there's also season changes that affect the animals and how you should manage your time and resources throughout the game. In Scenario C, on the other hand, you start from spring 1992 for plot reasons, of course. I think what's a bigger enemy than the bosses and animals that are high on attack and HP is time. Yes, when you die, you not only get sent to the doctor, you lose animals as well. This allows the player to debate on how to approach certain areas. Do they want to explore uncharted territory and get ambushed by stronger enemies, or go the safe route and turn back and go to the Astral Arc to register your animals? The former allows you to save time, but also it's a risk, or the latter choice, which is safer but takes up a lot of time. Each year contains 4 seasons, and after winter, it jumps into a new year, to which you only have from summer 1991 to summer 1999 in scenarios A and B. Of course, in most RPGs, you get your inns, you get your shops, but there's a lot of other options as well. You get a doghouse with a vet and a tamer where you can buy dogs to help you along the journey. The amount of choices in the game don't exactly change too much, but it leads into what Ken is thinking when encountering these sorts of questions throughout the game. There also isn't that many moral dilemmas in these choices either, so you can either choose the boring answer or the funny answer to get a rise out of Linda. I know that the gameplay may sound pretty intimidating at first, but after some trial and error, and finishing up the 2 scenarios, you're essentially very much ready for C. I know people that have already played the game would call scenarios A and B skippable. And skipping A and B, you would be missing out on the story and known animal locations that could help you throughout the process of C go by quicker. C is the gameplay focused scenario and is mostly just gameplay. But not knowing the context of what happened in A and B can really hurt the experience playing through the whole game in general. I do want to get furthermore into other mechanics in the game that I think are worth mentioning. For example, Ken and Linda's tech abilities. They are either obtained by leveling up or through interacting with certain NPCs throughout the game. The one you would most likely have at the beginning of the game is that you could both camp and be able to heal whenever you're in the middle of an overworld or dungeon. This mechanic could help heal up so your dogs can go at watch, or you can go on watch yourselves so the dogs can rest. You also later get tech abilities that will make your gameplay much easier as you play more. You can also use animals from your TCU to craft weapons and armor, while also getting excess animals cooked for food for healing items in stores, while also paying a pretty penny. But you can gain the ability to craft weapons and armor and cook animals when you gain those abilities without having to pay for the storefronts. While I could talk your head off about mechanics of Linda Cubed, I just want to get at least through the smaller parts and basics of what you can do to help have a better experience when playing the game. Now the $1 million question, why am I recommending Linda Cubed anyway? It's a game that got translated last year, and I like to get more people to play it. It's a game I recently finished. It's not perfect, you have to wait on the story to happen, and when 100%ing the game, if you really want to, can be frustrating in Scenario C, but the game really is an experience worth having. While the gameplay isn't anything deep, there are animals that require thinking outside the box, but allows you to understand the game itself. The narrative is a wild ride that I think is very much worth diving into. To that, I feel pretty confident that this game plays differently enough to most RPGs that could lead into both looking into a wider outlook, but also rewarding you for exploring different methods of capturing animals and digging deeper into the world itself. And to that, I do think it has been one of my favorite RPGs I've played this year. So hopefully, you guys give it a chance too.
君だけを探し求めて